That's not my outfit.
It's Death by Monsters.
Hello and welcome, you plodding parade of puffins.
I do like puffins.
Do puffins plod, though?
They're not as good as penguins, but they aren't bad.
Penguins plod, I feel like.
It's a fine line, but puffins waddle it well.
I love how much analysis we go into this part.
It's what people are here for.
It's true.
Our analytics show that most people have tuned out by now. No, that's not true.
Exactly.
You know what puffins would also do?
Chain smoke.
I've heard puffins are really good at when they eat a fish that they really like, they leave a review for that fish. And so if a puffin listened to podcasts, they would probably go to the site that they use to download their podcast and leave a rating and review for a podcast they enjoyed. If there's one they didn't enjoy, I think they would just move on with their lives. You know what I mean? So be a puffin.
You're absolutely right, Paula. I did forget to do that bit that we normally do at the start of the show.
It's true.
That's why I'm here to help us hit all the right notes.
Puffins, if they find a good fish, they always leave a good kelp review.
True.
That's right. Nick can do puns, too.
This is Death by Monsters, a show that has less listeners than you'd think. For the love of God, tell someone about the podcast.
See, you had it written in, apparently.
I had it written in some fashion. Joining me for the briny deep is Paula, wanted in the States Deming, Nick, in a state of constant confusion Murphy, and I'm Matthew Jude, who's stating his rights to represent himself, Your Honour.
Wow, why are we going to court? What have I gotten in trouble for? What am I wanted for?
Poaching! We're going fishing in this episode, let me tell you. This week's show, because you people wouldn't stop asking me about it,
That's true.
Yeah, he said you people.
is all about both one of the longest-necked and longest-lived cryptids of all time, and that is, of course, the Loch Ness Monster. Or as you may know her, Nessie.
I do like her name.
We don't know the gender of this monster. We don't even know if the monster exists. Why have we gendered an unprovable monster?
Because you can tell 2 humps is a female. We know this.
It's because when its head comes out of the water, it's got the long eyelashes.
Also, there was a hot minute where her name was Archibald, so
Is that
Nessie's
right?
just the one that's stuck, yes.
Nessie's just cuter. Nessie could be a boy.
It's just because of the lake.
Also, my favourite name for her, oh, look at that strange. Is that like a weird log or something? Oh God, it's got me in a death spiral. Tell my wife she never made me happy.
No.
Wow, that's should really go out.
What horrible last words.
Help.
Meanwhile, your wife is on the shore. Fine, I'm not going to come save you then.
There's a meme I saw that for some reason, I don't know why this made me think of it, but I do agree. It's basically saying like, before I die, I'm going to hire someone to show up at my funeral and just stand at a distance with like an umbrella, just so everyone at my funeral thinks I had like a really cool life. And like, this is like some weird, estranged person who like, just like standing at a distance all in black and then just leaves. And just like that, oh, what did Nick get up to?
Whoa.
And they've got like a sprinkler over them, so it's raining over that one person.
Yeah, they're just
and
like,
no one else.
who is this person? I'm like, that's fair.
As with every other video, article, and piece of media created about the Loch Ness Monster, Loch Ness is a loch in Bonnie, Scotland. It's 22 miles or so long. It's a mile or so wide, and it maxes out at 740 feet deep. And it has one of those little islands in it. It's called Cherry Island, which used to have a castle or like a hunting lodge on it in the 15th century. And it had a smaller island that is now gone because of the water rising, and that was called Dog Island, Aileen Nan Khan, which translates to Dog Island, because that's where the hunting lodges dogs were.
But then they all drowned when the waters rose.
I don't think they rose overnight.
I got so sad just now.
I choose to believe it didn't rise overnight.
It's like a frog. You put it in water and slowly increase the heat and it won't jump out. It's like the dogs are that way. They're like, this is rising so slow that we're just going to stay here. And then they just drowned.
This is why I didn't want to do Loch Ness, right? To be upfront and clear about it. It's because everyone just says the same thing about Loch Ness. And because I've watched 1,000 Loch Ness Monster documentaries.
Weird flex, but okay.
Yeah, but it's like I've watched a lot of documentaries on a lot of weird stuff. And everyone's seen a lot of Loch Ness Monster documentaries.
That's true.
But then I realised that some people, they want our spin on it. They want the Death by Monsters jibber jabber.
It's a log. End of episode. Cool. I'll see you guys later.
Here's the thing to remember, though. There are some people who just don't know stuff, especially if we're talking about like Gen Z, you know, like I think I saw a BuzzFeed Unsolved episode that was like the mysterious case of JonBenet Ramsey. Like it was something that no one had ever heard of. And I was like, who doesn't know who JonBenet Ramsey is? Who doesn't know this? And especially in the States, I can't speak for anyone outside. I was like, does Gen Z literally not know who JonBenet or O.J. Simpson are? Like, why do we need to explain these things? So just so you know, there are some people who maybe this is the first introduction they're getting to Loch Ness. Nick, did you raise your hand to say you don't know who JonBenet Ramsey is?
I don't know who that is.
The little girl.
Diana, she was a princess. Then one day she drove through a tunnel. She never made it to the other side. Dun, dun, dun. Who?
JonBenet Ramsey was a little like a pageant girl. She was very young. Like I don't know how old, 7 or 8 maybe. Who was?
She killed OJ?
Yes, she was kidnapped, or was she? She's never been found.
I don't. I probably have heard of this at some point in my life. I don't know who that is.
They don't know who did it, but there's a lot of things. It was a big thing in the 90s.
So Gen Zers, I'm on your side. Because I didn't know who that was.
And then she grew up to be Katy Perry. That's the conspiracy theory.
Oh, is that right?
You heard that one? Yeah.
Okay.
Big time.
But generally, I agree with you, Paul. Where I'm just like, you guys not know about this? But I think a lot of people don't.
The thing is, as well, is I often ask Nick and Paula if they've heard.
Did you forget my name?
There was a good pause there.
I was swallowing. I've just been drinking tea.
Oh my gosh. You forgot who I am.
Nick and that girl of the podcast. I say, have you heard of this topic? And often it's not.
You often ask Nick and that other person who's on the podcast something.
Who's speaking right now?
Fuck you.
Yeah, and I was like, do you know anything about King Tut's curse? And you're like, no. And I think, I know loads about King Tut's curse. But it's because I spend a lot of my time on the weird part of YouTube watching documentaries.
That's why you're the presenter on the podcast and we're the listeners.
That's true.
King of the podcast.
And to be fair, I know of Loch Ness, but I don't know much about the story. So it's like one of those things where it's like Loch Ness is one of those things that kind of everyone presumably at least has heard of. But like that's one thing that I like about all these topics is like a lot of these things, like I've heard of these cryptids, but like I don't know anything about them because this is not something I'm particularly interested in on my own time kind of thing. So I do this podcast for the money. But it's one of those things where this is not something I'm going to look into on my own is what I'm getting at.
Well, it's like everyone knows who Santa Claus is, but not everyone knows the origin story of Santa Claus. How did that get started?
Mushrooms.
Check
out our Mushroom Santa episode. It's fascinating.
Loch Ness, let's get back. We're right back on track. It's by far the biggest body of water in Britain. It was formed primarily after the Ice Age. It's fresh water and it's named...
It's the biggest body of water in Britain? I had no idea.
I didn't know that either, actually.
It's big. It's really big.
It's real big. It's 22 miles long. It's massive. For Britain?
I'm trying to picture that. How many miles is a football field? We've talked about this before.
I just no idea.
7, I think.
I think it's over 1 billion cubic feet of water.
I didn't know it was that big. I thought it was like a pond.
Me too. And so a lot of this time I've been like, why do people think this giant sea monster lives in this little lake, but it's actually not a little lake? See, I've already learned something, and I haven't let you get any of your script out yet.
No, certainly not. Because it's long and thin, essentially. Yeah. And from one end of it, you can't see the other end.
Wow. I did not know that. I would actually really, not honestly because of Loch Ness, but I would just, I would love to go there
gorgeous.
At some point.
Yeah.
So 17 and a half football fields make 1 mile.
That's pretty big.
So 17 and a half times 22 is going to be how many football fields? Man. And I mean American football fields for 385 fields of American football. That's large.
That's pretty long.
I can picture it now. Thank you.
It's almost a marathon long, right? Is one way to put it.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Is Britain a very lake heavy place?
Yeah.
Like there's some areas that have a lot of lakes. It seems like it would because there's so much rain, but like now that I think about it, I'm like I can't think of one like body of water in Britain. Are there a lot of lakes in?
Those are just very large puddles from all the rain.
Yeah, we have up north. There's an area of the country called the Lake District.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know
literally, and all the lochs in Scotland. There's one. There's loads.
Okay,
and loads
cool.
of lochs
It seemed like there would be, but I was like, is that a common thing to have a lot of lakes? I honestly don't know much about British geography, so
you could fit Britain into the Great Lakes, right?
Yeah.
It's not like They're mini seas, essentially, right?
I love lakes.
Back on topic, right? Going
Yes,
back
yes,
in,
yes.
like
Nailed it.
nothing happened. It was named for the River Ness that flows in, and the River Ness's name derives from, most likely, the Celtic word meaning roaring one,
Ooh.
Oh.
which probably refers to the sound of rushing water, but maybe, and I'm the only one saying this, but hear me out, maybe
Okay.
the roaring one is a dinosaur trapped both out of time and in a lake in Scotland. Strange things have happened.
Weirder things have happened.
I'm here for that theory.
That's the Matthew Jude theory on Loch Ness.
And Nessie is old.
I have another original theory as well, which is coming up soon.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it.
The thing is that if anywhere in the United Kingdom is going to have a goddamn monster lurking around, it's Loch Ness. It's just one of those places. There's hundreds of lochs and lakes, and there's only really one famous monster. And I've answered all your questions in this pack.
You really have.
And it's been that way for a very long time, with stories and legends going back well over 1,000 years. Though, contrary to popular Loch Ness Monster fans out there who say she must be real because there's only one lake monster, there are more lake monsters in Scotland than you could shake a stick at. Scotland is lousy with lake monsters, including other loch monsters, including Morag, who's a monster in Loch Maragh, Muckshelchie, who's a lake monster in Loch Maree, and Lizzie, who's in Loch Lochy. Now,
Lucky. And also, don't forget about Champ, who's a lake monster in the States.
And the lady in the lake.
Yeah, the lady in the lake.
Which lake is she in?
She's probably up in the, wait, I should know this. Orkney Isles, something like that.
yeah,
She's probably up in there, because that's where that King Arthur stuff.
it's almost as though it's coming up soon.
I was in a play that took place there because it's like an Arthurian legend play, and my character was in the Orkney Isles. Anyway, okay.
Cool.
As Ogopogo is the other very famous lake monster.
Good name. Ogopogo.
Also, Loch Lochy. I'm not sure if it's Loch Lochy or Loch Lochy. Someone Scottish, tell me I'm wrong or right.
Truth.
I'd like to know. But I will say that Loch Lochy, if that's what it's actually called, I don't think that is what it's called. It's the most unoriginal name ever.
It's just Ryan Lochte just swimming in that lake to train for the Olympics.
It's a very specific.
Who?
He's an American swimmer. Don't even worry about it.
Ryan Lochte. He's a himbo.
Yeah, he's a himbo for sure.
So in this episode, I'm going to bring you a complete guide to Nessie, covering the history, the controversy, the facts, the numerous hoaxes, and of course the theories, which I'll tell you now go from unknown breed of long-necked seal
Of course.
to aliens, the occult, and more than one type of portal.
Of course. I love how it always just jumps to like, must be aliens, must be a portal.
It does. Aliens weave their way into every story we have. Somehow.
Well,
Amelia Earhart, aliens. You're like, what?
I will tell you now, when doing research for these, I sometimes will just write the title of the episode in and then write the words aliens ? Into Google. Because there's always a theory, which is always a lot of fun.
Just the alien believers need a lot of attention. So they like to insert themselves into every story so that people will notice them.
Yes, but have you thought it might be aliens?
It could be aliens.
No, Jim, I haven't.
Jim.
No, the topic has, as I said, more goddamn documentaries about it than the Loch Ness Monster. They give you about 5 minutes of new information spread out like the last dregs of butter scraped across a piece of dried toast from a tub long since empty. But not here. Not on my watch. I ain't got no candy for you, punk. This is the one-stop Nessie shop. Buy our goddamn merch, people. That's what I'm trying to say.
I'll make a one-stop Nessie shop shirt. It'll be Nessie in a little shop. It'll be cute.
Like Nessie Shack selling surfboard, like boogie boards. The year is 565.
That's a long time ago.
This is how far I'm willing to research. Gao Wei succeeds his father Wu Shangdi as ruler of China.
Yep.
Of
Justinian
course.
II comes out as emperor of the Byzantine Empire.
Yeah, I remember that.
Faster and more furious than his uncle. And a guy in Scotland sees himself a monster.
Did you read me that joke while you were working on the script, Matthew?
I did, yes.
Okay, I was having the craziest deja vu. I was like, I have heard this before.
I was telling you how proud I was about my Justinian 2 coming out
Yes.
after Justinian 1 Fast and Furious joke.
Yes,
Yeah,
it was
that's what I was
good.
saying.
And then I got worried.
I think I said, Paula, I've just written a hilarious joke.
You did. Okay, it's all, yeah. I got really nervous for a second. I was like, oh no, why do I know this joke already?
Also, let's face it, sometimes I say the same joke more than once. I have some jokes, is what I'm saying. I've got some jokes. That's my thing. So this story is kind of seen as the genesis of what will become known as the Loch Ness Monster. And it starts, as most things do, with a man coming to town to tell people all about the good Lord. St. Columba was an Irish abbot and evangelical missionary, so my guess, not great at parties. But he founded the Abbey at Iona in the Inner Hebrides, which is a really cool looking place. Rugged, wild and stoic.
Sounds like you.
I was going to say, sounds like me.
I was waiting for, thank you, my next line is, I was waiting for you to say, just like you, Matthew.
I got you.
Is in my script. Sorry, I'm just being stoic.
Yeah, I could tell.
Not now in the podcast, Matthew. Talk!
It's not stoic unless you announce your stoicism. Like, sorry, I'm being stoic.
Well, no one can see me looking off into the distance.
We just have like 10 seconds of silence in the podcast, and we're like, well, you know, listener, what happened then.
And then it cuts to a little hey everybody, that was Matthew being stoic right there. That's why they might have to explain what happened.
Good.
You know?
It's in his second book, Vita Columba 2, The Empire Strikes Back, that he mentions a small run-in that he had on his travels around Scotland, where he may or may not have banished an unknown water beast. And where does that happen?
River Ness.
Loch Ness!
Close.
The book does say it happened in the River Ness. It
Oh!
does say that. But I like to think it's referring to the loch itself.
Okay, well, it said river, though. So.
Agree, disagree.
Because they at one point you'll see they row across it, there's boats on it, so it seems to me that it's probably the...
You can row across a river.
You can row across a river. No?
No. Is that a real song?
It's this really inspiring song where my character overcomes their fear of the water to go and fight the evil king, who's actually my uncle.
And your son.
And I have some type of magical pet dragon with me. Basically, it's my Mulan thing.
Oh,
that's happening.
okay.
Okay.
Row across the river. Oh, we can't! Get him!
Can't swim!
We said row, don't swim!
We're going to have to do another montage. You need to train a load more. Now I'll say first that this account is mainly due to a later interpretation of the tale in a book that came out about 100 years after. The earliest report of a monster in the vicinity of Loch Ness appears in the Life of St. Columba by Adamnan. But according to both Columba's second book and Adamnan's book, Columba had a wild ride full of healing people with diseases, expelling malignant spirits, subduing wild beasts, calming storms, and returning the dead back to life.
Sounds like he was just Jesus.
It would make sense why Jesus is always shown as being so white.
This guy's from Ireland, yeah? I mean, let's face it.
Because Jesus doesn't look like that. I want to break it to y'all. He is way too white. He's from Israel.
Yeah, he did not have blonde hair, I promise.
Yeah, he didn't look like that. I'm telling you right now. If he's from Scotland or Ireland, that makes more sense.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know where Bethlehem is, people? Anyone want to guess?
There's no way you're that white. It's literally impossible.
So he's, doing lots of miracles. He's got his agricultural miracles, including classics such as that time he cast a demon out of a pail of milk. Great miracles.
Demon out of milk. Just leave the demon in the milk. It's not bothering anybody, right?
That's what I was thinking. Just leave the demon in the milk.
What was the milk doing? What? It was just my milk keeps curdling, and I don't know why.
You gotta assume it's the cow that's the problem, though.
Right?
You'd have to assume that you're dealing with some kind of demonic cow. That's the first thing I'd think.
Go take out the cow.
What are you going to do? You're going to think the pail is haunted?
Yeah.
No, the cow is evil.
That milk had to come from somewhere.
He arrived at the loch ready to tell the friendly local Picts all about the love of God.
Fair.
What could go wrong? But when he gets there, he finds they are burning a body of one of the townsfolks who'd been snatched and mauled while he'd been there taking a leisurely swim.
Whoops.
This water beast makes another appearance, mainly because the first thing Columba does is tell one of his followers to swim across the river to grab a boat, which kind of summons the beast, which rises out the water and lets out a roar.
Scary.
Yeah.
This is like Lake Placid.
Great movie.
It's almost an identical storyline to Lake Placid.
There's like a little old lady the other side of the loch who's been feeding it for like decades, and that's why it's so big. That movie's great. I love that movie.
Columba shouts something along the lines of, "Thou shalt not pass," though I think it was more like, "Don't come back and stay away from humans." He makes a sign of the cross, just like that, it was dragged into the water by an unseen force. Though I will say, this is my own theory, which I quite like. If this is just one creature, this Loch Ness Monster is just one creature, maybe that's why it's so hard to find. Because it's still under the power of St. Columba and unable to come near humans.
That would make sense.
Interesting. Because no one has been mauled by it since.
That we know of.
But if it's one, this is in a number of thousands of years ago.
1400 years ago.
So how is this same monster still alive?
Maybe it's a tortoise. Tortoises live a really long time.
I'm just saying, if this is one creature, then maybe that's why we can't see it. It's because it's under the influence of...
Here's the
This
thing.
this also infers the idea that the power of Christ is compelling it, frankly.
Well, the curse can be passed down from generation to generation. You have to break the curse of your family, you know? So as you're making new Loch Ness Monsters, somehow, they're all also cursed.
But let's face it, when someone says water monster in Celtic folklore, no one's thinking, preposterous.
That's true.
There are loads of stories and
Yeah.
myths and cryptids in the cold, briny, deep back catalogue of a large ocean-faring island people. I'll say it, water's scary.
It is. It's still scary. We know a
is.
lot more about it than they did back then.
Yeah.
Ignorance is the only thing that would have made me comfortable.
Yeah.
Like in so many things in life. I want the ignorance. I don't want to know it's killing me.
No, yeah. I mean, honestly, people going out in boats at that time, like, you know, it's like, gosh, man, you didn't know. No wonder I totally get being like, we believe in like Krakens and like Poseidon and all this. I'm like, I get it. Like, it's confusing, and the ocean is incredibly large, deep. You can't see anything. It's just like,
There are big, scary,
Yeah.
weird creatures in the ocean. That is just true.
We've only just found out that giant squid are real.
Yes.
I've seen one in a museum in Wellington.
Yeah.
It was massive.
it's literally like, for a while they're like, we think these might exist, and then eventually they're like, oh no, they do. That's scary. They're really big.
You know we haven't seen the biggest ones yet.
Oh no.
No way. They're massive. I always think it's really amazing the people who, like the Vikings, who kind of went out and definitely made it to America, because we know that.
There's literally settlements in like Canada and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah.
But even then, you can island hop essentially across the north of the North Sea. It's a very dangerous amount of body of water, but you can kind of island hop Iceland, Greenland, and all that. But what amazes me is the Polynesian people, the people who went to New Zealand, that kind of stuff.
Or even places like Fiji and stuff like that. New Zealand, at least, is a very large island, and it's not that far from Australia. But it's like Tahiti and Fiji. These are not Tonga, you know, Samoa, all these places. They're not big islands.
Vanuatu.
Yeah, and they're literally just like, we're just gonna find stuff, and they did, and it's incredible.
Also, no thank you, I'd stay where I was. I get seasick as well. We know this,
Yes.
don't we? So this could be a very long and weird list, so this is just a handful of water monsters in primarily Scottish folklore. There's the Fwaff. I'm going to pronounce all of these incorrectly. Sue me.
Let's do it. Let's go.
But this the Fwaff is like this water spirit that'll drag you into the water if you're a man, or it might also try to marry you if you're a woman.
Women are just water creatures trying to trick you into a commitment.
You said it.
See, list how many others are like this.
There's the Siren Croin, which is a massive sea monster that eats whales but can disguise itself as a small river fish.
Ooh.
Kind of goes,
Pretty much, yeah.
Just like a woman. Once she's got you nailed down, she goes from that cute little river fish to a "Mah," you know?
That would be fine with me, as long as just to have any interaction. The Stalwart, which is this giant sea serpent in the Orkneys, which is like the Orkney variant of the Norse Midgard serpent, if you know what that is. Where are my Final Fantasy VII people at?
Not here.
Not here. That's the sound that happens when you win a chocobo race at the Gold Saucer. Boobrays are a shape-shifting creature. They inhabit the western lochs and kind of look like penguins.
Your favorite.
But they do eat livestock.
Ooh, bummer.
There's all manner of selkie and kelpies and the like that kind of have a mermaid siren type vibe. Some turning into humans to lure men and women into their arms, then into the depths.
But if you take their selkie skin, they are bound to you, forced to stay in their female human form because they've shed their selkie skin and now you've taken it. So this is the opposite of the trope where now you are tricking them
Boom.
Sounds good.
into being your wife.
And they're good looking, are they?
Probably. They usually are.
I'm into it. There's also just loads of water horses.
Those are hippos.
Half horse, half human, all water monster. Loads of them. There's water horses, like they're called each Usig, I think. Again, I ain't apologizing. That's just the way I'm pronouncing it. I'm sorry. I can't pronounce half these words. So they're like beautiful horses. When you ride one, you get stuck to it, and then they ride you into the water and drown you.
That's right. What a weird way to kill. Why don't you just grab them and eat them? I don't get. It's such a weird. I'm gonna lure them to me, and they're gonna hop on my back, and they're gonna be stuck there because I'm covered in glue, and then I'm gonna drag them down, and it's like, why?
Covered in glue, water resistant glue.
Boom.
Well, that's where the horse part comes in. That's where the glue part comes from.
They're making glue out of my ancestors. That's the thing, you know? I don't appreciate it. So I've been slathering my ancestors on my back. Yeah. I still get it. So many of these stories are like, they do, it's so complicated. I'm like, why don't they just like pull like a crocodile, just wait for you to get close to the shore and just bite your ass and drag you in?
Why none of these got guns?
Yeah, right? Get a gun.
Half horse, half gun. Terrifying.
I'm not gonna lie. If some weird water centaur rose out of the water, like just his torso, I would be like, holy crap. And then he just pulled up 2 guns. I would be like, holy shit.
It's got an Uzi.
He just got old school Tommy guns. You're like, where'd you get those?
How is the cigar still alight? It doesn't make sense. Also, Paula, there's the Dobhar shoe, which is sometimes called the King Otter, which is 5 times bigger than a normal otter. And then in the 1700s, it's meant to have killed a woman called Grace McGoughlin.
Probably deserved it.
At least that's what everyone thinks happened, as it's mentioned on her gravestone. Though that's more of an Irish type of thing.
I'm here for it. I'm here for this giant killer otter. Let's go.
My point is that water monsters aren't anything new, but that doesn't change the fact that the Loch Ness Monster is one of the world's most famous monsters. There's a really great story about a Japanese film crew who all were meant to be filming peace talks in Reykjavik between Presidents Gorbachev and Reagan, who were trying to come to some type of amicable agreement so that they didn't blow up the entire world. But this Japanese film crew caught wind of an attempt at Loch Ness that was happening at the same time using sonar to find the monster. So they left the summit and went to Scotland.
I love it. I appreciate it.
They're like, fuck world peace.
They're like, someone else is going to cover this. Like, come on.
The whole world's press was there.
Yeah, like,
which means we're the only ones that can go to Scotland.
They're just like, yo, Belarus, hold it down, all right? They're like, all right, we got you. Go hang out with Loch Ness.
So let's go through the modern age timeline of Loch Ness Monster stuff, because not a lot really happens between the first sighting and then about 1400 years, other than there was a weird floating island going around the loch for a while. But you know,
it was all those dogs that, you know,
yeah,
they formed an island,
all trying to stay alive.
Yeah, ants do that.
Don't worry, everyone, the dogs were fine. I'm
Yeah,
sorry
they're
for
fine.
the animal jokes. The dogs were fine, I'm sure.
Probably until Nessie got him.
Yeah, well, that's true.
It's April 1933, or as global conflicts call it, the eye of the storm, on account of the world wars, which is a line I was very happy about. Anyway, Mr. and Mrs. McKay are driving home. Mrs. McKay sees something rolling out of the water pours off it, and the beast that they see walks away.
And she goes, oi, laddie.
In Scotland, she goes, oi, laddie.
Stop the car. I cannot do a Scottish accent.
Let me try to do Scottish.
I knew that was coming. I will say now, though, this is as good a time as any, and me being king of the podcast, these early sightings are really kind of hard to pin down. I've seen an interview with Mrs. McKay, so that one I can semi-vouch for. But then, if you go to other places looking for information, it says that it was Mr. and Mrs. Spicer who, in 1933, in July, who had a similar experience when they saw the monster get out of the water, then walk across the road. So, I mean,
Does it have legs?
that's the thing. Does it have legs? Maybe.
I don't think it would have legs. Why would it?
I heard it's got 9 legs.
I mean, I guess whales used to have legs, so like.
Whales are covered in legs. You never seen a whale's legs? You never challenged a whale at a foot race?
Nah.
You never arm wrestle an eel?
Sure, they still have little leg bones in their bodies. They just don't have legs anymore.
Weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
The McKay incident made the local paper, mainly as the water authority. Alex Chamble also occasionally wrote for the paper, so that means that the idea was back in people's minds, and people were ready to see themselves a sea monster, and it's not long until they begin to do just that. Many believe that the roadworks may have also been causing the sightings more directly, as the humps in the water maybe have been just distant empty barrels of tar bobbing up and down along, but, you know, I don't think that's definitely not the case.
Might be though.
Yeah, but tar barrels don't have long necks, flippers, stubby feet, and a head.
Well, we haven't seen all those things, really.
Not yet.
How do we know it has feet? I don't believe it.
Nessie is born from the larger papers picking up the stories, giving its nickname, and the plesiosaur idea is the one of the first ideas put out to explain what Nessie was. And it wasn't the first time that idea had floated around.
Got it.
Thank you.
And a plesiosaur is like a big water reptile from the dinosaur age, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, thank you for saying that. I wasn't sure, but I was just going with it.
They kind of look like a dinosaur. They kind of look like a brontosaurus with flippers, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. That's exactly what they
The
look like.
classic, when I think of what the Loch Ness Monster looks like,
Yeah.
kind of that classic.
Yeah.
Other sightings of sea monsters had you're both doing an impression of a plesiosaur. You both look like cats.
See, I have no neck because I'm all shoulders, so Paula's got a better neck for this, but Paula and I are doing some great physical bits here.
Yeah, it's real good.
Yeah, see, I go shoulders to head.
And now Matthew's doing his turtle impression now.
It's a tortoise impression, but it's pretty good.
I'm sorry, it's a tortoise impression. For everyone who can't see it, which is everyone listening right now, he's dropping down the bottom corners of his mouth,
Yes.
and he's squinting his eyes, and he's very slowly reaching his head forward, pretending like he's grabbing a leaf of lettuce, and then pulling his head back as he moves his mouth open and closed.
It's also the same impression I have when I pretend to be a Cardassian, but
Oh yeah, I can see that.
other sightings of sea monsters have been put down to the concept of some prehistoric cast-off surviving unbeknownst to man that popped its head up from the timeline. The thing that makes this semi-plausible, or at least cited as being plausible from staunch believers, is the coelacanth. People thought the coelacanth was extinct, that it went extinct between 145 to 66 million years ago, but it didn't when they were rediscovered in 1938.
What do they look like?
They are big prehistoric looking fish, but they are very much fish, right? But they look scaly and iron scaly and prehistoric.
Cool.
They're like ugly monsters.
Okay.
They were found in the West Indian Ocean, where they were just known as another, if not rare, species of fish.
So the people there are like, yeah, of course these are.
They're like, that one's name is Gary. Yeah.
You mean Bob?
You mean Bob?
What are you on about?
I ride him.
Missing for 140 million years. Well, I saw him Tuesday.
I was
but
like, it's like I saw him last week.
this is called Lazarus taxon, by the way, when something goes missing from the fossil records only to be found alive and well. And let no one tell you, let no one here say that you didn't learn something today, because you did, whilst listening to Death by Monsters.
Boom.
Buy our merch. Also, this type of thing, while it doesn't happen a lot, it does happen from time to time. My favourites being either the Laotian rock rat, also known as the rat squirrel, which is very cute.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's really good. Or the taguan, which is it's from South America, which is also like this cute little pig that everyone in the Argentine province of Salta knew about. Also, Bigfoot is real.
Not in Scotland.
We're not so sure about that one.
Oh yeah, Bigfoot's been in Scotland. He has a cabin.
I believe that.
He uses portals that he travels through to get there.
Bigfoot's 95% portals.
Yeah.
He's mostly portal.
He's mostly portals and matted far.
It's like how we're mostly water. Bigfoot is mostly portal.
Yeah.
He can't scratch himself because his hand goes into another dimension.
It's inconvenient.
It's very inconvenient. He has to use a quasar. Where were we?
I don't know.
Who could say?
Scotland.
Scotland. yes.
Remember, everyone listening, you asked for this episode,
That's
and
true.
we are all over the place.
Also, the phrase "where were we" is in my script.
You knew. Are you a time traveler?
Yeah.
I am a time traveler.
My wife has not known about this.
They did not know about my transdigressions as I went into.
Check out our time travel episode. It's real dumb.
It's also just recently uploaded to our YouTube channel.
That's right, I just saw
you
it.
You can see it there if you'd like to watch it in sort of video form.
Cabbage Head Man. God, I hate that person.
Loch Ness Fever had made it to the papers and people wanted the scoop. There's a photo taken that makes the papers, but it's very blurry and it did come just after people started offering rewards for photographs. But the Daily Mail,
Convenient.
known for being just,
Incredibly reputable.
even then, just the worst. Anyway, they didn't want to be without their own picture, so they sent in the experts. And by experts, I do mean Marmaduke Weatherall.
I cannot with this guy's name. Marmaduke Weatherall? Is that a real name?
It's a very perfectly reasonable British name.
I hope so. I hope his parents were like, Marmaduke. Yeah, Marmaduke. Yeah. You want
Marmaduke
Jeff? No.
Weatherall. Hello, my name is Marmaduke Weatherall.
Marmaduke Weatherall is exactly how he sounds. He sounds like someone who enjoys shooting large animals.
Yes.
That is also true. He was a silent movie star, a one-man band as actor, director, screenwriter, and producer of adventure stories like The Life of David Livingstone and Robinson Crusoe.
Insufferable, it sounds like to me.
So he's sent up to Scotland with a little team to find Nessie. And after a few days, Weatherall gets super lucky and manages to find some footprints of the beast. They get sent back for analysis.
Wow, how incredibly lucky.
And guess what? It turns out the Loch Ness Monster is a hippo.
Oh, I'll believe that.
Or rather, the footprints were that of a hippopotamus taxidermied foot that had been made into an ashtray that Marmaduke had taken with him to Scotland.
Sounds about right.
I'm horrified on multiple levels about this. That poor hippo. And now you're using their foot as a freaking ashtray?
This guy sounds great.
And now you're putting it in the mud and then taking a picture and sending it off or whatever? Like, you got to get yourself right, Marmaduke,
Gotta get
okay?
yourself right.
Like, listen, Marmaduke, we need to have a come to Jesus moment. Like, you need to take a look at what you are, how you're living your life and the choices you're making, Marmaduke.
Imagine Van Pelt from the movie Jumanji. There you have yourself Marmaduke Weatherall.
Yeah, that's honestly what I think of. That exact person.
The Daily Mail unfortunately printed the findings, only to be embarrassed later on by the revelations, so they pulled their fundings from Marmaduke, who's pissed off by the whole thing. I think he thought, yeah, of course it's fake, but you wanted me to go get a story about the Loch Ness Monster.
You wanted a story, yeah.
Yeah. On his side, I'm kind of like, I kind of get his thing. He's like, what are you doing? Like, you literally hired me to do this.
Oi, laddie, you sent me, I don't know where he's from now, you sent me
Jersey.
to get you a story. And that's what I did. I got you a story, so I don't know now why. We're all acting like
Keep going.
I want to see where this goes.
Yeah, I was really excited.
this isn't what we all wanted. You sold your newspapers. It's falling apart.
When did your character have the stroke?
It's falling apart in the middle of it. I hit some vowel sounds that I wasn't sure how to make,
Right.
and it all crumbled.
Wanted.
You wanted this.
There you go.
I should
Wanted.
do the glottal stop. You wanted
Exactly.
this. Daily Mail. Daily Mail.
No, now you're going
Now
Australian.
We're getting Australian.
Hello, mate.
Crikey, it's the Daily Mail.
That's not a knife. This is a knife.
They should have got him.
I see you played knifey spoony before. What they print is the surgeon's photo. Think of that photo of Nessie. That's the surgeon's photo. A head and neck poking out of the grainy water.
If you don't know what it is, I'll put it on our Instagram. But when you see it,
It's-
if you
it's
know
the one
anything about
photo,
Loch
yeah.
Ness, you'll be like, oh, of course,
Yep.
that photo.
Yep.
Only without burying the lead, like 95% of everything that's about Nessie of all time, it's a hoax.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, if you just look at it, look at the wave, the size of the wave ripples compared to the size of the head and neck. The scale is so off. The Loch Ness Monster is so small.
It would literally have to be like, it would be like, it's like ocean swells size.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it would have to be if you look at the waves and then the head. You're like, those, if this is true, those are like 30-foot waves. Like, it's like, that doesn't happen in that lake.
I I mean, at first glance, that's easy to not notice. But when you really start to look at it, you'll be like, this is wrong.
This doesn't make sense, yeah.
It's called the surgeon's photo because the guy who was meant to have taken it was a London gynecologist, possibly Jack the Ripper, but definitely Robert Wilson. He was down by the loch tackling a different type of river monster. I'm sorry. He was using the bathroom. I apologise profusely.
Know exactly what you were trying to imply.
I was talking about his penis.
Yep.
Nick knew what I was talking
I
about.
was there.
He sees a monster and takes a photograph, but he doesn't want too much publicity, so his name's not attached to the photo when it gets printed. However, on further analysis, it's clear that the monster in the photo can only be around 2 or 3 feet long. And because it's in the water with no shoreline, its size is super hard to make out, so no one really realised. The problem with that photograph is there's nothing but water. It's been cropped so that there's no point of reference. The hoax is first revealed in 1975 in a largely ignored article in the Sunday Telegraph. But then again, in 94 it's confirmed, and in 99, when it was published again, people begin to believe that the photo is of a toy submarine with a dinosaur head stuck to it, taken by Christian Slater and Ethan Hawke organised the whole plot. Christian Sperling, who just so happens to be Marmaduke Wetherall's son-in-law.
That bastard.
And it was a planned hoax at the expense of the Daily Mail because Wetherall was angry at them and about the hippo footprint debacle.
Oi, laddie, son-in-law, come over here. Yes, daddy-in-law.
Papa? Yes, Papa? Yes, Papa? Yes.
Look, we fucking hate, that's a little more Irish, but we fucking hate the Daily Mail in this family.
We do, Papa. We hate them. We fucking hate them.
That's right.
Blasted them, Papa!
And now, thank you, both of my son-in-laws. And now I've got a plan. You're gonna go to the loch. You're gonna put a dino toy in the water.
I will.
You're gonna take a photo of it. You're gonna
Drown the editor of the Daily Mail, Papa!
trick the Daily Mail. And then I'm gonna go work on this accent.
Burn the offices down, Papa!
In this situation, Paula is from Australia, and her two apparently son-in-laws, according to Paula, her two son-in-laws are about 6, according to Matthew.
And they're both married to her supposedly adult daughter.
Exactly. Yes, Papa.
Look, don't question how things work in the Wetherall family.
It's best not to.
It's terrible. He shoots hippos, and I hate him.
That's what we have to do with old money, because we need to keep it from seeping into the new money. You know what I'm saying?
It's true.
I'm not sure, honestly, as to how much detail to go into and every sighting, expedition, photo, video, and explanation. Honestly, it's a very, very long list. And frankly, as with every ghost hunting TV show I've ever seen, which is a lot, no one ever proves anything without a doubt. I mean, if any of the evidence had truly been conclusive, then this wouldn't be a monster, mystery, or unknown. It would just be another animal that we know about. Yeah. There's been sonar sweeps done of the loch. There's been motion capture floodlight traps put in the loch. There are people who I watched age by 30 years in different documentaries who lived on the shores and live on the shore of the loch just looking out, waiting to see Nessie. I mean, she's both the most seen and most elusive cryptid of all time. Die-hard believers would tell you that the surgeon's photo was a hoax, was really a double bluff to discourage people from finding the real Loch Ness Monster, whereas die-hard skeptics will tell you that there's just not enough food in the loch to support what they would need to be a population of large water creatures. The latest real scientific evidence was a very in-depth DNA profile of the water of the loch, which didn't find any proof of monsters and came to the conclusion that it may very well be a breed of yet uncaught massive eels.
I have a thought. Okay, when that curse, thou shalt not pass, was placed on the original Nessie, and then we made a bunch of jokes about how could it possibly still be alive if there's only one. Well, it sounds like if there's not enough food in the loch to support more than one, maybe that curse also kind of put it in, not only can it not interact with people now, but it can never die. It's like put it in almost like a suspended aging. So it's just the one.
You think this is the real Highlander?
Yeah, exactly. There can only be
makes
one,
sense.
and it will continue to live forever. Because, in fact, that curse is what protected it. It kept it from getting near humans, so humans haven't been able to kill it yet.
I like it.
Maybe.
Thoughts?
I'm willing to believe.
I like that. I mean, I feel like it's got to be something like that because otherwise this story makes no sense.
Right? That's the only
And
way to make the
it's-
story make sense.
It's real, so we
Yeah.
have to find a way to
Exactly.
make this make sense.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing is that reported sightings are in the hundreds. People will always be looking for her, and there's always people who want to prove that there's nothing there. But the question of what are they looking for is much more interesting to me than debating the validity of yet another blurry photo. So let's look at some more theories, shall we? And I'll tell you now. There's some good ones.
I'm ready. I'm ready to hear them.
Let's start with Aleister Crowley.
Of course.
A man who could get his own episode of Death by a Monster.
Of course, this fucker's gonna...
Known to many at the time as the wickedest man in the world, though I kind of think he was a bit of a self-aggrandizing publicity genius. Crowley, who died in 1947 and was born just down the road from me, was a very intelligent occultist, as well as author, painter, and head of the Thelema, which was a kind of semi-religious movement and philosophy, and I had to really avoid going down a very deep, dark rabbit hole with this one, because I love this stuff. I love it so much, and I really had to try my hardest not to just keep on travelling down a dark road of nonsense. Love it.
Yeah, I feel like I'm proud of you because isn't his whole deal basically like sex, magic, and rock and roll? Like it seems like... You know, the trifecta of things for you.
Not really. It's he's kind of gone. I'll go into it, but it's a grab the best things about a lot of different religions and make East meets West kind of religious type of. It's a pick and mix buffet of religions and just take all the bits you like and slap a ancient Egyptian motif over the top of the whole thing essentially. But for the sake of this episode, Crowley was a ceremonial magician and he had a tendency to try and talk to demons. Or so he got the idea for the, let's call it religion, from a book of lore that a non-corporeal entity called Aiwas told him about.
Okay.
Which actually may be coming up in the next episode we do. Completely unrelated.
Interesting.
All right.
So in 1899, Crowley decides it's time he went to Loch Ness. The locals are not happy about an infamous occultist turning up whose reputation, real or exaggerated, was one steeped in evil magic, sexual rituals, and taking a bunch of drugs. But yes, Paula, you
This
are
is
quite right.
literally what I said, and then you said no.
Yeah, well,
Okay. King of the podcast.
thank you. But nevertheless, he had money. So he buys a house on the Loch Boleskine House, which would later be owned by Led Zeppelin's guitarist Jimmy Page, which isn't rock and roll. That's a coincidence, Paula. Paula, sometimes things are just coincidences, right? Doesn't have to be.
No, now sometimes
Doesn't
things
have
are
to
just
be magic.
coincidences,
Doesn't have to be
Matthew
a
Jude.
cryptid. Doesn't have to be
Okay.
some kind,
Okay. Convenient.
Also, the house burnt down twice, once in 2015, once in 2019. Coincidence?
Probably.
Yeah.
I also have to assume no one was thrilled when he built an octagon annex to the building in which to try and talk to demons.
No.
Imagine the local crowd of people, tourists from Inverness.
Right.
Oh, you're talking to demons. Well, I think you should go back to where you came from.
Yeah, please do it anywhere but here. Thank you.
He believed the loch had some type of magical power, and his intentions was to try and rid the lake of evil spirits. So the ritual he was doing was meant to last about 6
A
months.
6-month ritual.
Yeah, and he lost control after only summoning 3 of the 4 demons.
Oh my gosh.
Like you do.
So he let the other 3 demons go back into the general countryside around the lake, and then left.
What a fuck face.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I'd do that.
If you're going to start a job, and part of that job is invoking a demon, be sure you're going to finish that job.
Man.
That's not asking too much. I don't think I'm asking too much if I say, if you're cool, if you want to do it, do it. But if you're going to start, finish, because
for it.
otherwise we're going to be dealing with. That's how you get demons.
That's how you get demons.
That's how you get demons roaming the countryside through no fault of the locals.
The Loch Ness.
Oh.
So let's talk aliens.
I'm down.
Okay.
There's one idea that Nessie isn't a creature at all, but perhaps a craft. So this idea is mostly...
Wait, what?
Shut up!
It's a UFO.
These ideas mostly from the ruminations of one of my favourite humans of all time, Giorgio Tsoukalos, who's known as the guy with the hair from the Maybe It's Aliens meme.
See, here's the thing. I love to think that this is not just like, oh, it's a submarine with like a periscope or something like that, and that's like the neck and the head. I like to think it actually is like a plesiosaur type animal that a bunch of aliens are inside and they're just controlling it with like sticks, and like this is how they're infiltrating.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, the guy, yeah.
He looks like he just like ran his fingers through his hair as he was like thinking. He's like his thinking nervous tick is running his fingers through his hair, and so it's like looks crazy.
That's actually very much what his hair looks like. You might be right about that. Well, his theory is that the loch may be the entrance to a transversable wormhole or interdimensional gateway, where either alien creatures or interdimensional alien creatures gain access to the world. Backing this alien hypothesis is also another rabbit hole I managed to traverse, like some type of interdimensional wormhole, is that the Aetherius Society, which is another UFO, New Age cosmic religion who believe Jesus was an alien from Venus.
All right.
From Venus.
I wanted to read every bit of literature that these people have ever come out with. I love this. I love it. So, there is no sci-fi can ever be better than these nonsense religions. I love it so much. They actually set up a base. And where's that base? None other than the banks of Loch Ness.
All right.
Boom.
Stamp it. Solved. Why would they want to go there? They're interested in portals and the trans-dimensional stuff. And
So wait, is Nessie the portal, or does Nessie just sometimes come through the portal, and that's why they're only sometimes spotted?
second one, portals at the bottom of Loch Ness.
Copy that. Okay. Sure, I'll buy it.
Krishna's from Saturn, according to these people.
It's convenient that these gods come from planets just in our solar system and are not more cosmic than that, but sure. Yeah, okay.
Also from gas planets that have no surface. So like, where do they live? It's like in the clouds.
Well, they're like ethereal beings, so they don't have like corporeal forms until they get to Earth, and then they get the corporeal form.
I feel like the one from Jupiter every once in a while gets caught in the big red eye, and it's like, oh shit! It's just like flips, like in a big whirlpool.
Well, this is me for 6 millennia. Oh,
he's like, God, I'm in a damn washing machine over here, just trying to get out.
So the list of things Nessie could be is as long as a giant eel. Also, the giant eel is probably the one I'm leaning into. And while a giant eel is as elusive as some type of mythical lake monster, the DNA analysis in the water, which I think does mean poop and fluids, I'm going to assume. Is that what it... Who knows?
Okay, I don't know, but yeah, that makes sense to me.
It did suggest that there's a lot of eels in the lake, and maybe some of them have kind of catfished themselves to giant proportions. And by that I mean that the catfish is also another big contender, that they could have been introduced to the water and they just grow and grow and grow. And if it's a catfish, that would be cool. Because
it's catfishing everyone.
Well, it's catfishing everyone, thinking, sending pictures of Nessies, saying, come to Loch Ness. It's just a big catfish.
And it turns out it's just a catfish.
But also, if it's a catfish, we could just fish it out. Right?
Could it be like eels, like the way like a rat, like rats, like a rat king,
I hope not, Paula.
And then the eels are like and that's why it looks like large things, because it's a bunch of eels all kind of tangled up in each other, looking like a larger shape. The sum of its parts makes one greater Nessie whole.
Let's hope not. Let's hope it isn't. I don't like the idea of it one bit.
We'll just strike that one then from the theories.
Strike that one.
If you don't like it, let's just remove it.
That's how these things work, I think.
That's how conspiracy theorists do things.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, to be clear.
Well, no, I wasn't implying that you were.
Very defensive.
I'm a seeker of the truth, no matter how bizarre it is, with an open mind, willing to believe. Bigfoot is real.
Anything.
You want to talk about Bigfoot?
No, we're talking about Loch Ness today.
You want to talk about Bigfoot though? He's real.
Unless Bigfoot's in this story. No.
Bigfoot can swim. I'm just gonna throw that out there. You make.
I do believe that.
Make your own connections, but I'm giving you.
What if Loch Ness was just somehow Bigfoot going for a swim? That would be the most ridiculous thing in the world.
I'm giving you the dots. I need you to make the connections. Bigfoot can swim. Portals.
Do with that what you may.
Take those pieces of information in peace and be gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Seismic activity has been thought of, even though it's on a fault line, it's the UK. We don't really have that much noticeable seismic activity, but microquakes releasing gas from under the lake is a possibility. That doesn't really account for people seeing a monster. Trees, barrels, whales, sharks, dugongs. I would love it to be dugongs. Otters, some type of unknown long-necked seal. Though again, this all poses a problem. The fact is that this is an elusive creature.
Yeah.
Of all the creatures I've described, most of them are curious. So if it was sea lions or seals or otters in the loch,
yeah, you would see them more. You would know that's what they were.
They would make themselves known because they're cute and dumb, like this podcast.
Yep.
Basically.
The thing is that for it to be an elusive creature, it would have to be an intelligent creature.
Yes.
Right?
For the most part. Well, and especially in this type of lake, don't get me wrong, like Loch Ness is very long, but it's not very wide. So it's not like the ocean where it's easy to be elusive.
Exactly.
Where it's like you could avoid ships and stuff like that. This is a big lake, but it is not a massive body of water.
Yeah.
Like in retrospect, like you're looking about everything else. So it's like for this thing to be, if it's as big as it seems it is from what everyone has seen of it and what we've heard of it, it would have to work very hard to never be seen, especially in this day and age. And so it's like, it would have to have some kind of intelligence, in my opinion. Especially if it's like an animal that has to, we don't know what kind of animal it is, but if it's any kind of mammal, it has to breathe air. And so it's like, if it is some kind of whale or sea lion, it would have to come up to get air, and it would have been seen. If it's a fish, maybe not, because then it could just stay underwater the entire time. But then again, fish don't ever like really come out of the water and just be like, oh, what's up out here? Like they don't do that because they have no reason to.
Exactly. Everything we've seen suggests that it's not a fish. Is that the sighting suggests that it's some type of aquatic mammal.
Yes.
Or reptile of some description. So it would need air, and you'd have to have a population of them. If they only have to come out for air once a day, which is the very, very utmost minimum that I can imagine a creature needing.
Even giant whales have to come up more than once a day. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Exactly. So if it only had to come out for air once a day, that means to have a breeding population would have to be around 40 animals, from my understanding. That's 40 possible sightings a day in a loch 22 by 1.5 miles.
Yeah.
You'd only have to set up cameras for a day.
And people actively looking at this point.
You'd only need 2 days to find it.
Yeah.
Possible 80 sightings, possible in 2 days. You'd guarantee to see it.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Optical illusions created by the waves is a big deal, because the fact is that there's an undertow current in the lake, which I did have explained to me, but it's relatively complicated for my brain to do with the different temperatures of the water. The lake apparently never freezes for some reason, but that means that there's an undertow, which means that you can, even on days with no wind, you can have waves on the lake.
Yeah, because there's movement underneath.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of roiling things up. This is kind of where my money is. I'll go on and say it right now. I think a lot of this is you look out across the water of something and you're going to think you're seeing things that you just aren't seeing. Yeah. I really think that people are seeing waves or branches or debris or just weird movement, or like the way the temperature can kind of mixed with water can make things feel like, you know, like when
wavy,
you look down the road on a hot day and it's kind of wavy. Yeah, exactly, Nick. Like, I just think people think they're seeing things that just aren't there. My money's on optical illusion.
I think optical illusion is a very interesting one, but I do think that there's been too many sightings to suggest, too many up-close sightings of animals to suggest it's a completely just... I think this has to be more than one explanation. I don't think you could put it all down to optical illusions. Although I did see one video that people were very, very excited about for a long time. Turns out it's just someone swimming. You know? And then you look at it and go... Oh, yeah, I guess it is just someone swimming.
Or just like a boat moving.
I mean, that's kind of like my thing. Like, the way I feel about this one is the same way I felt about, like, Dogman.
Terrified?
Kind of situation where it's, like, terrified and believe it completely.
I believe in Dogman.
But no, it's just kind of like, if what people...
I believe in Dogman.
if what people think Nessie is, at least in terms of some kind of giant plesiosaur type animal, even if it's not quite as big as that.
Aquatic Dogman, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, what in there could sustain... Because, again, it can't just be one. Because if it's just one, how the hell did it get there?
Yeah, if it's one animal,
it
has to be magical. So it's not.
Yeah, it's like, where... So it has to be more than one. At least some kind of population. And then on top of that, for an animal that big in a lake that, again, is big, but is not that big, it's like, where does it... What does it eat? Like, it has to eat something.
Unless it's swimming out through the river a lot.
But they did say that something that size couldn't go through the canal there, right?
So it would be trapped in there.
That's my guess, at least.
Here's the thing. Neither of you have considered possibly some type of massive, long-necked newt.
That is true.
I have not considered that. That's true. That's accurate.
That was a really big idea at one point, I'll say.
Really? Newts?
Maybe there are secret caves out to the sea.
Yeah.
Or even better, to a land before time scenario in the center of the earth. I'm just saying.
I'm down with that.
That one sounds fun.
Yeah.
Michael Lee Murphy would like that one, let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Question, in terms of Loch Ness, in terms of the geography, how close is it to the ocean? Like, in terms of geography-wise? Because if it is close-ish to the shore where it's, a couple miles out or something like that, yeah, there might be some weird underground... But isn't it fresh water? If there is some kind of outlet to the sea, wouldn't there be more salt water in the... I assume it's fresh water. I don't actually know.
Yeah, so the sea comes in at Inverness to the north. It's only like 5 or 10 miles away, I think, from the sea at Inverness. And yeah, the lake itself is a freshwater lake.
Okay.
And there's no, because that was often people have said maybe something coming in from the sea because it's not that far away.
Yeah.
But it's a freshwater lake and there's no saline in the water. So they've done all these tests and it's like this isn't salt water.
And if I remember correctly, it's like even in that case, the salt water would float to the top because the salt is more buoyant
Yes.
than normal water. So like it would, if there's salt in there, you would know.
Yeah.
The thing is as well is that maybe if there's an underground cave network of some description with animals going in and out from the sea to the loch, I can totally buy that. And my first thought was, well, wouldn't the water be mixed in that case? But it could just be that there could be like a U-bend in the cave system, so that's not the case. So that could be something. I think a lot of people want to believe that scenario, that it's getting out to the sea somehow and it comes back to the loch to breed or something along those lines, which I like.
Maybe. I mean,
It's kind of loyal to the loch, which is a nice thought.
I was going to say, like, if they're coming back to breed,
You'd see them more, yeah.
Yeah, right? That's what I was thinking.
you'd see it. Like, you would be like, oh, every August, there's a bunch of dinosaurs in the fucking lake.
Doing it.
There's a bunch of dinosaurs fucking in the lake right now.
Just
Like the water is
plowing.
just churning.
Yeah.
Pliosaur more like. The plesiosaur is always going to be the most popular idea. The idea we have of Nessie in our minds, though perhaps perpetuated by the surgeon's photo, as well as the fact that other contemporary literary works of the 1930s certainly loved the idea of ancient dinosaurs, be they in Journeys to the Centre of the Earth, or as Emily Zarka from Monstrum, who we like. I like Emily Zarka, I like Monstrum, good YouTube thing.
Yeah, y'all think she's cute.
I think she's really smart as well, to be clear.
Well,
Who's
of
this?
course. She's from the Mothman documentary we watched.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's cute.
Of course, you can think she's cute and smart. They aren't mutually exclusive.
It's like how I feel about Nick.
Exactly.
Shoot.
I'm just here. It's fine.
It's awkward if I say that's why I'm friends with you. But she points out the idea of contemporary literary works, especially in Japan, like kaiju monsters, which have been ancient prehistoric monsters returning from being trapped in Earth's inner seas or unfrozen after the Ice Age or after an earthquake released. The concept of a plesiosaur was in the cultural repertoire of the 1930s, which is probably why our minds latched onto this so readily. It's like, oh, it could have, because it was part of the zeitgeist of the day. Or perhaps the most cynical idea of them all, the idea that you might see a monster.
It's just the town.
Really good for tourism.
Yep.
Here's the thing. I want to go to Loch Ness.
Exactly.
I was
I
just
do.
thinking when we're able to travel and we travel over next time, Nick, I
Yeah.
think the three of us, something that could be cool is if the three of us went there.
I would love to.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing is, here's the thing. I'm gonna buy the Loch Ness burger or whatever. You know, like
Yeah,
I want
serve me
to
up
go
a
to the little
Nessie
shop.
burger.
You know, it's like it works to say the least. I mean,
I think if your town has a monster, you should be capitalizing on that monster. Absolutely.
I would.
Do you think I want to go? I want to go to Point Pleasant,
Yeah.
some random town, but it's Mothman, so I want to go.
Yeah.
You know? Absolutely.
Exactly.
I want to go to that bar in Oregon where
Yeah.
DB Cooper.
DB Cooper night. Yeah.
You know? I can't blame him if that's the case. I think if I was past the Loch Ness Monster is one of the symbols of Scotland.
Aleister Crowley
Yeah.
released a bunch of demons in that town. I think
We
as a balance out, they get to now like capitalize on what the demons have caused to be in the town. You know what I'm
I think
saying?
that's only fair.
It's
Sell
only
a few
fair.
T-shirts.
Or the demons were like, we're gonna terrorize, and then they're like, you know what? We could just make a shit ton of money. Maybe they're all the shopkeepers, and they just like opened up like I'm gonna open up a bar. I'm gonna open up like a grill. You know?
I'm gonna be a Lochside Bar and Grill. I like
exactly right.
it. Lochside Bar and Grill.
They're like, how long has the Lochside Bar and Grill been around? Oh, longer. Oi, laddie, longer than anyone can remember. You know, it's that owner's been there. That owner's been there for 100 years. We've never seen it change hands.
1400 years. Never seen it change hands.
And he stays the same age. It's very
I
weird.
believe his father was king of the Picts or something. I don't know. It just appeared. I'm going to be holding a cup of tea, but it's actually going to be holy water. I'm going to keep on spilling it on shopkeepers.
Yeah,
Just in case.
What do you think? I think Nick and I are probably on the same page with this one.
Yeah.
I would like, except for maybe this part, I would like to believe that the Loch Ness Monster exists, but I just don't.
Yeah.
I just don't. There's nothing to me about any of this that is convincing. There's too much fake evidence. There's not enough like scientific.
Not a giant ancient kaiju?
There's not enough
Possibly going to fight Godzilla? Who's going to protect the British Isles from Godzilla? We need to call on the Loch Ness Monster.
It's only in that one lake. It's only protecting that direct area.
It just lives in the lake. It can come out. Punch King Kong in the teeth.
There's just nothing that even makes me believe the lake could support the life of anything that could be explainable for this. I really, truly think people are just seeing what they want to see when they occasionally, like I said, catch a swimmer or a boat or a weird wave movement or a log. Any number of things that they're seeing that they've convinced themselves is the Loch Ness Monster because it's a fun thing to believe in. But I just do not in any way believe that it's real.
My thing is, like I talked about, is just straight the same as like the Dogman thing. Biologically, it doesn't make any sense that this thing could exist if it is what people say it is. And so I'm just like, it doesn't make any sense. And none of the evidence has been conclusive enough where I think, yeah, it's people seeing random stuff and then thinking that's it. I don't know. Again, with this many people looking, this many people watching for this many decades, someone would have seen it. Like, I mean, I guess people technically, according to them, have, but it's like, yeah, no. Shocker.
If you're camping on the banks of Loch Ness, make sure to keep a watchful eye. Because by the time you've seen it, it's definitely going to be too late, right? I mean, it's a giant dinosaur.
Yeah. By the time you grab your phone for a picture, it's already done. Yeah.
Take a
100%.
photograph of it so we can get it from the belly of the beast.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Death by Monsters. If you really, really enjoyed the show, please tell a friend, as we said, and please subscribe to the podcast so the podcast get automatically downloaded onto your device that you listen to it. automatically, and it helps with the download rates. It really helps us a lot if people subscribe, much more than you would think it does. So please subscribe if you enjoy it, and tell a friend if you see someone you know who likes this kind of stuff. You see some kind of post somewhere on Facebook or Reddit or something like that, throw our name in the hat. We really want to see this thing grow, and it's been an absolute blast to do it. If you have your own super cool story, maybe about Nessie, maybe about something else, I don't know, send it in to us at deathbymonsterspodcast@gmail.com. Every other episode we do is a Home Strange episode where we read out a story from one of our listeners that something happened to them or a family member or a friend or something like that. Interesting stories. They're always really fun. And so if you have a Home Strange that you could send in, please send it in to us. We would really appreciate it.
Do you live on the banks of the loch? Tell us about it.
I would love that. Is anyone from Scotland? Has anyone, like, Matthew, have you been to Loch Ness?
No, I'm not.
If you have been there, please let us know. And if you are from Scotland or from this direct area, please, we love hearing from people that are from areas that we've talked about. It's really exciting and fun for us.
Also, please send notes on my accent. I know, like, there's probably some really, like, nitpicky nuance things that could help me be a little more realistic with it. So if you caught any of those, just, like, send those in.
Be kind, because it wasn't good.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Rude.
It was incredibly realistic to how Scottish people sound.
Indeed. If you really love the show and want to support us financially, there are a couple ways you can do that. You can buy merch, as we have said, over on our Redbubble, and you can check out our Patreon, where there is also some cool bonus shows, which are free for everyone, but nonetheless, it is Patreon powered. Matthew is showing us a picture of a cat that looks like it just saw its family get murdered.
It's wearing a tux.
And so, yeah, but looks very scared. But nonetheless, you can go to our Patreon and support us there if you would like. And if not, go check out the bonus episodes there. And all this information and more, including our socials, can be found on our website, deathbymonsters not at gmail.com, just deathbymonsters.com.
Yup.
I think that's it, everybody, right?
Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Stay spooky.
Stay spooky. Bye, everybody.